Okay, so in this video we're looking at the client equipment suite of modules, and we're going to open up our client equipment and open up our item that we sold in an earlier video to a client who is advanced in industrial solutions, and we sold them an air compressor. So in this one we're going to go out on site to repair a piece of equipment. So some equipment is portable and can be brought in for us to repair in our workshop. Others are fixed and you may not be able to bring it in, or it may just make more sense to send a technician out to site to repair something rather than bringing the entire, let's say a bulldozer or something like that, to float that into our workshop for repair. So this is where field services may come in. So let's go and create a field repair. And so this will open up our field services module, which is a standard Odoo module. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail in the standard modules because that's not what these videos are about. This is about the how do we manage client equipment. So you notice here in this field service, and this does open up a field service request within the field services module. We can see it loads in the customer in here, the contact information, but what we've got here is the site contact. Now you'll probably notice from, or remember from an earlier video, that we talked about the client or the contact you may need for this particular piece of equipment. There may be a specific person on site that you need to contact when you get out on site and discuss this particular piece of equipment. So this is really the person looking after this piece of equipment, which may differ completely from their customer addresses and per contacts and so forth. So this way we're going to associate a particular person with a particular piece of equipment. And that happens quite often on particularly large building sites or large mining sites or those sorts of things. You might have multiple people in there, you might have multiple buildings, you might have multiple, all sorts of things. So we really need to track those, exactly who do I need to speak to about this particular piece of equipment. So what we've got down the bottom here is our usual descriptions, timesheets and subtasks, which are all standard Odoo features. So again, I won't go into those. But we do have a couple of extra things here, which is our JSA. Our JSA is our job safety assessment, or it goes by a number of names depending on where you come from and so forth. But a JSA is a fairly common terminology. So this is a safety assessment you do when you get out to site to make sure that the area is safe and it's okay for you to work in that area. Now this has been designed in such a way that with the JSAs you might actually send a crew out rather than a single individual person, and therefore we allow for a site supervisor. So the assignees might be multiple people, it might be 10 people that you send out to site for various jobs. And so within this, when we're repairing this one piece of equipment, we may just choose to repair a number of pieces of equipment while we've got the crew out on site. And we can add many jobs in here too. But in this case, we're only looking at the one job. And so we've got also another thing for JSAs in Australia particularly. We use a term called Take 5, which is just a Take 5 assessment to make sure the area is clean and clear before we start work. And so what we can also do here is we can load JSAs. So we might have a set of questions that we want, canned questions. So you'll notice here I can add custom questions here, but I might want to load a predefined set, which I'll do that right now. And this now pre-populates this entire field with the pre-work questions and post-work questions. We'll have a look at that in a second, how we can change those. But for each one of these I can tick whether it's yes, no, or not applicable, and it's up to the site supervisor to make sure that that they have done the assessment. And down the bottom we have the signature field here where they can sign off that the site is safe to work. Likewise, after we finish work, we need to make sure we've cleaned up appropriately and things, that all our tools have been put away, that the site is safe, that all the electrical cables have been put away, that everything's safe and ready to hand back for operations. And so again, the site supervisor will sign off on that. So the job itself, in this particular case, we're looking at one piece of equipment. and so that's been preloaded in here, and I can open up this this piece of equipment, this job that it needs to be done on this particular piece of equipment. I haven't assigned this to anybody yet, but we do see the make, the model, and all the other relevant information here that records a service date. I can put in notes maybe when, depending on what the problem is, you may have some notes about this particular piece of equipment, and that would have been pulled from the equipment record in the client equipment app. We've got issues, so there may be a reason why we need to go out and repair this particular equipment. It may be for regular servicing, but it also may be for a particular breakdown, and so the salesperson or whoever requested that this job be done may put some notes in here. And again, this has got your ability to create things like columns and rows and tables and bullet lists and checkpoints and you name it in here. So it can get quite detailed with the issue. There's no real limits in here. You can put images in here. You can do all sorts of things. So if it's a particular breakdown, let's say a particular piece of equipment actually had a physical break in it, you can take a photo and you can upload that into this area, and then when the site technician gets out, they can have a look at that and say, okay, yep, that's what I've got to fix, no problem at all. And so you've got that capability in here. So I might just put in some notes about let's just do a service. We'll call it a basic service, just for how putting something in there. And so when the technician gets out on site, they'll do a report to say what they've done and what they've found. And so again, this is, they can put in columns and tables and whatever formatting that they want to put in here. If they need to put anything in here, they can just put in, they can just put in plain text if they want, and describe the equipment. They've also over here is a bit more detail on the equipment record, so we can check that we've got the right equipment address and those sorts of things in here as well. So we've got notes, we've got the issue, which I didn't save, basic repair, no, it's service, wasn't it? Service, and the repairman, when they went out, may have put in that basic service complete. Let's just do that for the moment. We'll save that out. Actually, I might assign that to someone just for the completeness. I might assign that to Dennis. So Dennis was the person that went out. I'm doing this a little bit backwards, but you get the idea. And so that's it. So what we can do now is, Dennis would have gone in and put in his timesheet. Dennis and basic service. And it might have taken him, let's say, an hour to do. For the sake of it, if there's any additional products that Dennis used to repair it, maybe filters, maybe drive belts, maybe all sorts of things, they can be added in here as well. But we can save this off and we can pretty much mark this as done and finish that repair. So again, I didn't really use a regular workflow for this. I probably should have followed one, but this is really just to demonstrate the power of the particular tool. So what I'll do now is I'll go back, I'll follow breadcrumbs back to this particular piece of equipment, and I can see that I've got that repair. I've got the link to all the repairs that have been done on this, and I'll click on that. So this does not take me to the field repair order. This takes me to the job, because the job is relevant to this particular piece of equipment, whereas the field repair job, field service order may be connected to lots of different pieces of equipment. So a little bit of a thing to keep an eye out for there, a little bit of confusion sometimes. That what we're looking at here is the particular jobs that we go out to do for our field repair, not to the field repair order themselves. All right, so service history. We can see that we've now got a piece of, a record in our service history, and we can open that up and see what was done, and this is the same that we saw earlier. but we've now got that history here. What we can also do here is we can do things like print out the service history. And so this can be really important if a particular client wants to see their history of this particular piece of equipment. We can see who went out and who did what repairs, what the issues were, and this will continue to populate as more and more repairs happen. So we can produce these reports for a particular piece of equipment at any point in time. So if your piece of equipment is hitting that point where it's starting to get serviced more and more repaired more and more regularly, it's very handy for the client to be able to see that it may be time to even replace this piece of equipment, but they can make that judgment call based on the service history. So again, this video is not a comprehensive overview of the entire how to manage client equipment and how to do field service. This is just how it works in the system. As I say, most of the functionality is standard Odoo functionality, so there's lots and lots and lots of videos and tutorials on how to use the standard features, but this is just about the enhancements to those to be able to manage client equipment. So that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.